What up, world? Episode 43, 4th and 20 Sports. We are back at it. Your favorite time of the week, your favorite hour of a Wednesday. It's your boy, AJ Johnson. And over to the right, just Max Todd. You thought I was going to say favorite, didn't you? You thought I was going to say favorite.
Well, then we really would have been on the darkest timeline for you.
Is that a black joke?
Not even a little bit. Not even a little
I'm
bit.
picking up what you put down. I catch these little sly things, little sly remarks you like to drop in there, but that's cool. See, I know you.
Was that a Jewish joke?
What, the sly part? Is that what you guys are doing?
Darkest timeline, a bit we've been doing for 3 or 4 episodes now, is now a black joke?
I don't. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. We just covered this. I mean, just because your life in the past 4 days has been a darkest timeline doesn't mean you have to take it out on me. I'm just saying.
Selfish. He's selfish.
I'm not selfish.
Oh,
you know who's selfish? You know who's selfish? Philadelphia Eagles. They selfish. They wanted that Super Bowl victory all to themselves. What? Did you know? How'd you feel? How'd you feel when that happened?
Well, I thought as a child I was blessed with living in a world where the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series in my time, and living in a world where the Eagles had never won a Super Bowl ever. It was a glorious time. And now we don't live there anymore. Now the world has become a very dark, dark place.
I'll let that one go. I'll let that one go.
And the Eagles have won a Super Bowl. The Red Sox have won World Series. Trump is president. Kristaps Porzingis tore his ACL.
Oof. And I was just about to make a joke about how they're coming up in the NBA. They're going to be right up there with the Cavs.
Well, the Cavs are going to be right down there with the Knicks. Oh, man.
So are you saying this is, in fact, the darkest timeline? Is that what you were getting at?
I think so. I think we truly do live right now on the darkest timeline.
I also think that we're to blame for that. Because as soon as we started talking about it, all those things started happening. Like, we talked about what it would take for the Chiefs to lose to the Titans that week. Happened. Talked about what it would take for Jacksonville to end their Cinderella story. Exactly how we thought it'd be the darkest timeline for the Jags.
We did it for the Falcons, too.
I don't remember that. But it doesn't matter what I remember because they're gone. They're out. They were out early, and nobody. That's what bugged me. Nobody took into account what the Eagles did to my Falcons and put it on their defense to stop this Nick Foles Eagle. Well, I would have been happier.
This is also one of the worst defense. I don't know how the Lions are so confident in Matt Patricia. This is one of the worst defenses that I've seen. And what Bill Belichick did to Malcolm Butler to hold him out, I don't care what BS reason. There was no legitimate reason from what I can understand. Just a bunch of media reporting nonsense. And I'm on Malcolm Butler's side. He should have been playing the game. He's one of the top 3 defenders on that team that's healthy. You already were down Donta Hightower. He wasn't going to be there. So the idea that you were going to then let a guy. So the 2 weeks before, in the 2 playoff games before, Malcolm Butler played 100% of the snaps on defense.
And 97%, 98% really all season.
He started 15 of the 16 games, and he got benched because he was playing pretty bad in the beginning. But for you to then just bench him for whatever personal vendetta, it felt like Bill Belichick wanted to lose this Super Bowl. It felt like that.
I don't know so much. I mean, with that, okay. So first off, well, here we're gonna jump into that. We're gonna jump right back into it, but just to get you guys caught up to speed, we got a good show for you guys today. We are obviously going to recap that Super Bowl 52, the highlights, the lowlights, what we saw, what happened, and maybe we'll talk about a little bit of what's going to happen next year, what we think are way too early predictions for next season, what you can expect to see ending next season. As always, we got brus for you. I can't have a show without a bruh. And we're going to talk a little NBA. We got top-tier teams in action last night. A lot more surprises than you would expect. Not to mention that NBA trade deadline is showing up tomorrow at 3 p.m. So 3 p.m. So we're going to jump into all of that today here on 4th and 20 Sports on WBLZ Sports, where we've got balls. So back to it. This Malcolm Butler benching shocked the world because if you heard the reports, they didn't come out until Malcolm Butler himself didn't find out until as the national anthem was being played. Could you imagine that? I mean, granted, you've been there before, not as many times as his 4th year in the league, but could you imagine that, like, one of the most important games of the season, everything you meant for that team, regardless of the situation, unless it was dire, for your coach to come up to you and be like, hey, by the way, thanks for everything you did this week and this season, but you're not going to play on defense tonight. I think you played like 1 or 2 special team snaps, which is even more. That's almost like getting Eli to start the 211th game just to bench him. You know what I mean? And it's not an attack at you, but that's what it would be like. It's like, no, you're not going to play defense. Like, what would you do if you're playing special teams out there? Are you really trying to make tackles? Are you caring at all?
If anything, Eli was once again the Super Bowl MVP with that awesome commercial with OBJ.
Oh, that was so great.
You know he's got to be on the team next year. You can't just have a chemistry like that on a team. You can't break it up.
I really hope they find a way to do that touchdown dance.
Oh, my God. Yes.
That would be amazing.
No one puts OBJ in the corner.
So what do you think the actual reasoning for Malcolm Butler's benching happened? I mean, he's already refuted everything they've said about him. Like, he's been a class act. He wasn't really that sick. You know, there was no concert or curfew missed. He spent all week with his family.
Well, when it comes down to with OBJ, Malcolm Butler. Still have OBJ in the mind. When it came down to Malcolm Butler, I really felt that he pissed off Bill Belichick in the preseason when he wanted to be traded and when he was supposed to be a big part of the Brandon Cooks trade, and it didn't happen. Imagine if the Saints had Malcolm Butler along with Marshawn Lattimore. I think that's a totally different team. But I just don't think that Bill Belichick has any faith in anyone that tried to slight him, and I feel he felt slighted by Malcolm Butler, and that's the biggest problem. And I understand why Bill Belichick can be so petty, but this is also the worst his defense ever looked going into a Super Bowl. And when you have your defensive coordinator already signed on with another team, his heart's not going to be in it as much. You should give him the best athletes out there. It was a lot like Kyle Shanahan. What's up, TC?
So here's my thought on it. Whatever the reason being for them to bench Malcolm Butler, by halftime, I don't care. I mean, the way the game was going, the only person being locked down after the first quarter was Alshon Jeffrey with Stephon Gilmore in there. But as far as Nelson Aguilar, 9 catches for 82, 88 yards.
Torrey Smith was even catching.
5 receptions for 67 yards for him. Corey Clement out of the backfield had 4 receptions for 100 yards. Like, you had everybody else making plays.
If anyone, the only person on that defense that was playing hard was Van Noy.
Yeah, Van Noy was trying to put some work in all game.
But, it's not surprising to me that he couldn't pull it all together. I mean, he couldn't play pass coverage. He never has been.
Well, now it's crazy, and I bring this up because you brought up the Saints. I mean, Malcolm Butler's going to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. And, I mean, if you were supposed to be part of the trade from the Saints, that's one thing you can't help. But then to see what they did and what you could bring to that team, that would be a great place for him to sign if they could make it work.
I mean, honestly, like, the thing about Malcolm Butler to me is that he isn't a number one corner on a team. He's a great corner on a team, but he's not Patrick Peterson.
No.
He's not going to be Richard Sherman. He's not really going to be Marshawn Lattimore. He's not going to be Jalen Ramsey.
But if you already have those guys...
He's not really Janoris Jenkins either. Malcolm Butler really needs to go somewhere where they do have an almost established secondary. Like, I agree with you, TC. I think Detroit is a great place. He already knows Patricia's system. I don't think Patricia benched him. I think Belichick did. And maybe he does go to Detroit. He could fit in really well in a Giants system. He could do really well to replace Terrence Newman in Minnesota. If it's really about competing for Super Bowls and not making the crazy contract, he's going to still make good money, but he's not going to make what Janoris Jenkins got. He's not going to make what Richard Sherman gets. He's not going to make what, Joe Hayden got a couple years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, I believe that if Malcolm Butler was going to the right situation, the right system, and had a defense that he believed he could help contend, I mean, I think he'd be willing to take a little less money. I mean, it wouldn't be a complete drop off from what he's worth. He's smarter than that as a businessman and a contender and a player. But if he, I don't see where the issue would be with the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore, if he's your guy already, and he's only got room to improve after being the defensive rookie of the year, you can show him what you already know and be the lockdown corner that you're allowed to be on the other side of the field. That's just another step to helping them look better. Back to it in the Super Bowl, there's no way this man couldn't help. And this was a completely offensive game. It looked like a Big 12 game. It looked like what we saw from Pat Mahomes playing OK State last season with what was it, Rudolph, or who was the guy before Mason Rudolph? Was it Mason Rudolph both years?
Probably, I don't know.
Either way, but yeah, this game ended at 41-33, Eagles winning it. Brady had 505 yards. Foles had 373. It was like 1,100 offensive yards total. There was one defensive play, not counting the 4 failed 2-point attempts. And it was the Eagles strip fumbling Tom Brady and getting the ball back with less than 2 minutes. But this was all offense. It was an offensive spectacular episode. It was exciting. It was fun to watch.
That was the only sack of the game.
The only sack of the game, which is amazing because, and this is part of the reason I'm not showing you and bragging about how I picked the Eagles, because that's not the way I said they would win. I thought the pass rush would be in the backfield all day long. I thought Brady wouldn't be able to get a lot off. They were getting to him, but just a second late. There was a bunch of QB hits on Brady, and they tightened that up after a while. But, one sack baffled me from what they were able to do.
And I find that this is a time where a lot of people, there's going to be, Max Kellerman's out there that go, see, he's 40. He doesn't have it in him. Tom Brady, at 40 years old, won MVP. And as you're saying, TC, he threw 505 yards. The only thing he couldn't do was catch the ball. And to be fair, it's not his job. I get it, Nick Foles did it. Job. But Nick Foles did it, but that's because Nick Foles needs to be gimmicky. He's a quarterback that runs the RPO offense, and the fact that, that was a fun drinking game. If you guys did what we did during the Super Bowl and drank every time RPO was said, you enjoyed the halftime show.
The halftime show was pretty interesting.
I think still my favorite part was that kid not knowing who he took a selfie with.
I seriously believe that Justin Timberlake told his illegitimate son to pretend he didn't know him. That kid looked just like that guy. He looked like Justin Timberlake as he was about to join the Mickey Mouse Club. When you go back and look at his smile and his little curly blonde hair, it's a baby Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. But I still think the best meme was just met Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
That is the best part of that. I thought that was too funny. I almost died. But speaking, we can get over this. The Patriots aren't gone.
No, not at all.
But
dynasty
we are talking about being on the darkest timeline right now. So, what would be the darkest timeline? We're going to go over some of the darkest timelines for playoff teams this year and see what would prevent them from continuing to be in the playoff picture next year. So, talking about the New England Patriots, what do you think it would be?
Well, the glaring one would be that they don't do anything about a QB. You got Tom Brady, who, again, is 40 and looking to repeat 41 and be that, the new unicorn. Now that, obviously the other unicorn is proven. But they have Hoyer behind him. If you don't address that, this system can work for so many people, but if Tom Brady gets hurt, you may be looking at, a Matt Castle era. You may be looking at Brandon Weeden when he was in Dallas. You may be looking at a situation like that where, for the Patriots, that would be 8-8, but that would be an atrocity as well. That could be an issue. Another thing would be if they don't address their defensive end, the front rush, that front seven needs to get better. Dante Hightower, when he gets back, is not going to be able to do it all. So if they don't address those two things, I won't say they're out of the playoffs because it's the Patriots, but they may be looking at another wild card loss or a divisional round loss.
Right, especially if they don't find the right defensive coordinator. That's a complete possibility. They're losing some players, and no one's better than the plug and play than Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the right defensive coordinator, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see Jack Del Rio get a call. I think he would be a good fit at defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'd like to see him go back to a coordinator guy.
I think he's one of those guys. Like how Jim Schwartz decided not to be a coach this year. He got offers to be interviewed, and I'm sure he got job offers. But I think we're overhyping people. Like Ben McAdoo was a decent coordinator that had some success with a couple good quarterbacks, and then he tried to pay more attention to his wardrobe and hairstyling than he did to the playbook, and then became one of the worst coaches in 1 year. He's still living on his darkest timeline. But when it comes down to the Patriots, I don't think that they will fall down this darkest timeline. I mean, the offense will hold that team up.
Yeah,
I do think that. And if you're telling me that the Patriots don't take a flyer in like the third round on Mason Rudolph and keep him under Brady, that he's not going to be able to possibly do what Jimmy Garoppolo is doing, I find it hard to believe.
Right.
But
what about So that's the Patriots. What would you say would be the darkest timeline for someone like the Jags who lost to the Patriots?
So the Jacksonville Jaguars remind me a lot of the Arizona Cardinals like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
When they were one of the best teams in the West, making the Seattle Seahawks shake with they're the no-fly zone with Patrick Peterson, with Tyrann Mathieu. They had Tony Robertson. And they were just, and then Calais Campbell. They were unbelievable. And then their offense was mediocre. But Carson Palmer was able to make plays. Larry Fitzgerald was
being Larry Fitzgerald.
John Brown stepped up,
running all over people.
But what happened? They didn't address the real problem, which was that Carson Palmer could not get them further.
Right.
And it's one thing to be like, yes, we're competitive. It's another to be like, we can beat Aaron Rodgers when he's firing. We can beat the Seahawks when they can block. There's a difference.
Yeah.
And I find that that's where we are right now with the Jaguars. They are 1 injury or 2 injuries away on defense from being, all right, you're going to have to take the reins. And Blake, this is going to be a game where I need you to be more than dink and dunk and play it safe. I'm going to need you to take a few risks that you can actually get a reward from.
It's amazing to me, like a deep ball that he used to have could just disappear like that. I mean, he 2-3 years ago, he threw one of the best deep balls in the league. He had, was it 35? No, I think it was like 28 or 31 touchdowns or something in that area.
But there's some garbage. So when it comes to that, is a lot of people believe that prevent defense, which you'll find a lot of defenses go into when they're up by 20, and they're just like, well, they're going to have to gun it downfield. Well, you will notice that safeties get lazy in that because they seem to see 5 verticals coming at them, and they don't really get which deep zone they're supposed to play, especially when 2 routes come in. The fact is, they're supposed to go where the corner didn't overplay, and then that's the one you go to. But sometimes they'll be like, no, I'm going to the primary guy. That's definitely getting the ball. Well, there isn't a primary guy there. They don't have a primary wide receiver. They're all kind of meh. The one primary wide receiver that they drafted was supposed to be Justin Blackman.
Yeah, well, we know how that.
And did he even get on the field? Yeah, exactly.
A little bit in his first year, but then.
But now you got Dede. Now you got Allen. You got the other Allen.
Well, Allen Robinson may be a free agent this year, actually, as well.
Yeah,
is another situation.
But if I was the Jaguars, I would either be real hype on getting a quarterback right now somewhere, or I'd be trying to sign Kirk Cousins, or I'd be trying to sign another QB. I mean, they're going to be out there. Yeah. I mean, if you got Case Keenum on the Jaguars, you're feeling a lot more confident. Hell, trading for Nick Foles, you'd probably feel a lot more confident. An RPO offense with Leonard Fournette, I know that's not really their style, but you got to implement the style of your quarterback. That's why Jeff Fisher failed with these guys. That's why Case Keenum's doing well in a power eye offense. That's why you see Nick Foles doing well in an RPO. It's because these are offenses that the quarterbacks can run. That's why Jared Goff can run a Sean McVay offense. It gives them more of an opportunity. I know I listed only Rams quarterbacks there that failed with Jeff Fisher, but but
we just wanted
he could only really succeed with a transcendental quarterback like Steve McNair or Vince Young in his prime. He actually kind of ruined Vince Young. Vince Young did everything he could to defy Jeff Fisher. But so with the Jags, I really think they're to avoid their darkest timeline is stay healthy and get a quarterback.
Yeah. All right. We did some AFC teams. I'll give you another one on the NFC. The Saints. What happens here? How do they avoid their darkest timeline? What is their darkest timeline?
Well, their darkest timeline is Drew Brees his play becomes as little as he is. And that's the big thing. Is Drew Brees going to continue to be the elite quarterback that's getting him into the Hall of Fame with all these amazing passing seasons? Or does he fall off? Does Mark Ingram not repeat? Does Alvin Kamara finally get injured? I mean, you guys, you see these guys and they like, wow, they finally broke out. It took a while for Mark Ingram. And Alvin Kamara, that's a shifty running back, but I've seen shifty running backs go down. He's the perfect Darren Sproles replacement. I've been saying that since they drafted him, and they've been needing that guy since him. But who knows? Because finally they actually understand how important that kind of guy is. Well, Mark Ingram plays the Pierre Thomas kind of role that they've always had. It's a very scary game when all of a sudden you realize that this is a run offense.
Yeah, right? And I mean, that's kind of how Nick Foles got along. It was like you have a two-headed to almost three-headed monster back behind QB, and he can do whatever he wants when you have to focus so much on the run. And the difference here with the Saints is their run game was just so prolific, so dynamic.
And does their defense suffer PTSD from that Vikings game? Because Marcus Williams had a very productive rookie year. He had a bunch of interceptions as a rookie safety.
5 interceptions.
They had the rookie of the year on defense in Marshawn Lattimore. But does that affect them? Do they all of a sudden...
Do they fall off?
Yeah.
Do they go back
and
to
can their offensive line stay healthy? I love Max Unger at center, but if he's not healthy, they're not doing anything. But now, our favorite fan out there, TC, is asking about what is the darkest timeline for the Eagles, and
this is what
I'm real excited for this one.
I'll tell you what I think. The darkest timeline for the Eagles is, and bear with me, but I think the darkest timeline happens if you trade away Nick Foles. Reason being is Carson Wentz got injured in December. Not everyone's Adrian Peterson. Not everyone can be hurt in December with an ACL injury and be back by September. And who's to know how long that injury will linger, number one. And two, even if it doesn't linger, it still takes another 5-6 months to regain everything that was in those ligaments to be the old you. If you trade away Nick Foles, you are left with finding a replacement to step into this offense, which Doug Peterson has shown that it's very easy to run this offense if you stick within the game plan. But why not have a guy who's proven it? Why not have a guy who's found it?
And really that'll all come down to who they draft. And I agree, because, hey, Teddy Bridgewater took him, 2 years? 2.5?
And gruesome injury. And this is a hard game. It's a hard-hitting game.
And that happened in practice.
Right, like when they're trying to go a little lighter. And ACLs, I mean, these can have, we watched Kelvin Benjamin and Jordy Nelson in the same preseason, probably a week apart, get non-contact ACL injuries out for an entire season. Like, these can happen at any given time, of course. But once it does, you have to prepare for what's next without that guy.
And I think a huge thing is will Jim Schwartz's defense continue to get the pressure to relieve his poor secondary calls? The thing is that I always see is that the secondary does get bursted open because he tells his defensive backs, he makes sure he has them on his team. He makes sure to have aggressive defensive backs. McLeod, Darby, these are solid talents, but they aren't the best cover backs. Now, that's always good. Eli Apple's really good at coverage, but he's not good at picking the ball off. Eli Apple's good at tackling the guy because he didn't stop him from catching it.
Right.
But he's right there with him in coverage. Well, Darby's really good at jumping the ball. He reminds me a lot of a Stevie Brown who came onto the scene. And he had like 7 interceptions in like 5 games, and it was out of this world. But then he fell off the book because all he wanted to do was get interceptions, and he didn't want to make the right play, and so he doesn't play anywhere anymore.
We got time for two more quick ones before we head to break here. I'm gonna ask you about this. Probably make you happy because they sent away the guy you hate so much. What about the Chiefs?
The Chiefs' darkest timeline is that if I'm wrong, and Patrick Mahomes isn't better than Alex Smith. I firmly believe that Alex Smith is not as good as Patrick Mahomes. I think he's more experienced. I think he'll make less mistakes. But I think Patrick Mahomes has this Brett Favre-like arm that he can throw himself out of trouble. And if that offensive line can give him up time to actually learn how to make reads, that kid's going to be special. But that's if they let that happen.
Yeah, if he flops, what do they do? I mean, who's there? I mean, you moved up to get I guess what you decided to be your franchise QB. So are you shopping for a QB in free agency? Are you picking up a QB late in the draft at this point?
No, you work on Travis Kelce's arm. I mean, it looked pretty good.
I mean, if it wasn't for the pick that he threw, it was a beautiful ball. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't see it. I mean, if you listen to these Chiefs players talk about, Pat Mahomes, they are all in disbelief. He's been around professional sports all his life. His dad played professional baseball. He has an extreme amount of confidence, and then he gets on the field, and everyone's like, you see why he has an extreme amount of confidence. This kid does things Travis Kelce said, this kid does things he's never seen before, and Alex Smith's his guy. So, but again, if he flops, I mean, and in the darkest timeline, and I pray against this, I hope this doesn't happen, because it'd be really sad, but if Eric Berry gets hurt again, I mean, what would that do for his mindset on even playing the game anymore? I mean, you got guys like Earl Thomas, who was a transcendent talent, who just in Seattle contemplated retirement because he couldn't stay healthy for only a year. He was one of the most healthy guys in the league for a while. So that's a couple of them. That's definitely a few. 4thand20 Sports, we can do one more. I'm going to head to break. Falcons. Darkest timeline for my Atlanta Falcons.
All right. Well,
why are you smiling so happily?
Well, it's because this isn't that far-fetched. Matt Ryan in this Sarkisian offense. Now, he certainly bounced back after 1 year in the Kyle Shanahan offense, and it looked great until he had to call his own audible, and it never happened. Well, Steve Sarkisian didn't look good, but I don't think that was really Matt Ryan. I think that was the offense they were running, and they decided to keep that guy, that drunk.
So his past transgressions go. He's a different man now.
It's not even a year. That's 2 years now. Maybe.
He doesn't drink like you, maybe.
I'd still show up to work. I don't show up to work drunk. Like, as much as I may like to drink, folks, I don't go to work drunk. I hand the God. But not only that, but they have a bunch of big free agents on the defensive line.
That's my darkest timeline.
And if you lose Poe, and if you lose Claiborne, who are going to be big targets for teams that are one pass rusher away, Poe is a great nose tackle. He'd fit in great in Detroit as well. Then you got Claiborne. He'd fit in well almost anywhere as a solid seal the edge, but also get to the quarterback when that tackle is trash. And we live in a league of bad tackles. So,
yeah, if that front line was something we were all excited about coming into this season because of what you had behind it in that linebacking core, some really good up-and-coming secondary players, to lose guys like Poe and Claiborne, it would freak me out, would scare me a little bit, would hurt. But if something like that happens, I would love to see Dan Quinn go after his old buddy Michael Bennett in Seattle. Those guys aren't seeing eye to eye in Seattle. He's a
no
free
one's
agent.
seeing eye to eye in Seattle.
Well, I mean, that's a story for another time.
He missed the playoffs 1 year.
And it's over. Who are we? We're a guy who traded our best lineman for a tight end. Anyways, 4thand20 Sports, we are just getting heated up here. We're going to take a short little break. I'll give you guys a couple messages from our sponsors here at WBLZ Sports, where we've got balls.
But a shout out to you, TC. We are working on getting the ability to have people to call in. We really do want to hear from you guys. We think it would really add to the show. So please keep following us, keep watching. We are working on only improving the show. Right. And what's off of this screen, TC, you know what's off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That part. Yeah. What he said, all of the call-ins. We're also thinking about doing a special, hour long, maybe half hour long, where we just answer questions. You type in right there. We talk about it when we go there. You ask for hockey, you're setting yourself up. We don't know anything.
I know some.
There's a blue line. There's a red line. You slap shot.
Peke Rene.
Flick of the wrist. PK Subban.
PK Subban.
All right.
Lundqvist. Other Russian names.
Hey, look at you up on your Russian. I'm so proud of you.
Ovechkin. All right.
All right. So, that is our break for people listening. But for the people watching, we're going to jump back into it. 4thand20 Sports, we are back here on WBLZ Sports, where we've got balls. You are here with your favorite host, AJ Johnson. Over to the right, Max Todd. We are back. Remember, before we get going, please, please, please jump on Facebook. We are killing it on Facebook right now, and it's all thanks to you guys. We are up on numbers. Only green arrows pointing up. That's what we like to see. Jump on Facebook, post, tag, make jokes at us, tell us we're wrong, whatever you need to do. We'll get back at you. We're looking to get a lot more splits on there, which are short videos. We're looking to post as much as we can, everything we can, just to be around you guys more.
And I'm there on Twitter. You can always at me with anything. I will gladly debate you guys at 4thand20 Sports.
Absolutely.
You want someone to troll, I will troll right back with you. I'm always there. I love it.
Right? You need to listen to our past episodes. Jump on iTunes, the Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, at 4thand20 Sports. And the WBLZ Sports Vault is also on iTunes. You can hear all of our past episodes there, as well as all of the episodes from all of the other wonderful programs here on WBLZ Sports, where we've got balls. Max? It's bruh time, bruh.
It is.
Hashtag bruh.
Bruh.
Look here. You know what? You holler at me first. I need a minute to digest how life is.
Well, and Laura, that's not true. You have my phone number. Stop that. You're being ridiculous. But yes, bruh. My bruh goes to Josh McDaniels. He basically catfished the Indianapolis Colts. And I love so many parts of it. It's so many bruhs all in one. Like the Colts GM saying the rivalry's back on. Bruh. Win your division. Bruh. You can't just say that it's still the rivalry is renewed. What, Andrew Luck gonna play? Bruh. You still have a bad defense. Bruh.
He can play defense.
He certainly knows how to take a hit. I don't know if he can give one. But Josh McDaniels, all I can imagine that made all this happen was that the Super Bowl ended and you're walking into the hallway and everyone's walking past you and you just see a cigar light up. In a dark corner and emerges Robert Kraft. And he goes, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. You're going to stay. I'm going to tell you why. Because Belichick, he's gone. He's going to be gone and it's going to be you. Rooney Rule? Who cares? It's you, kid. You're going to run the Patriots. Brady likes you. I don't care if he yells. You know that's love. Bruh, there's no reason for you to have abandoned a head coaching job with a young quarterback that possibly could come back. You've already coached Jacoby Brissett to wins. You're really on a team with a good set of draft picks coming up and a young defense. Tell me why you wouldn't take the chance. And is it because you're so gun-shy because the last draft pick you had was Tebow? You gotta be smart, kid. You are burning bridges here at the hopes that Bill Belichick doesn't burn you.
That's not what he did to Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
Jamie Collins. Any other player.
Chandler Jones.
Aaron Aaron Hernandez.
Bruh. But seriously, Josh McDaniels, what are you doing? Garbage.
So let me ask you this before I go on. Who do you think the Colts set their sights on? Or would be a good fit, either or?
Smarter would be to try and pry Jim Schwartz out of Philadelphia.
Thought.
I think more so that they do need a defensive mind on that team. They are actually trying to interview and ask for the rights of the offensive coordinator of Philadelphia, which is dumb. He didn't call any plays. But I get it that they were asking for Pat Shurmur. They were asking for Josh McDaniels. In fact, Josh McDaniels took them out of the Pat Shurmur contest because they thought they had him nailed. So, I mean, there really isn't a lot of great options left on the market offensively. Jeff Fisher's not good at offense, and I don't know if he'll ever coach again.
Go to the AFL. Please stay away from my NFL team. I'm tired of
I hope Jeff Fisher coaches an XFL team.
That would be fine.
I was saying that I want Joey Porter and Pac-Man Jones coaching teams in the XFL. I can't even imagine what those handshakes would look like at the end of games. Oh man,
I'd be all about it.
But really, I've been trying to rack my mind about it. Mike Mularkey wouldn't be the worst decision. He knows that division. He just coached a team to the playoffs and a playoff victory.
Yeah.
He's played that division for the last 3 years. He knows how to work with a mobile quarterback, and he's not a terrible offensive mind.
No, he was.
And I think Andrew Luck's a much more talented quarterback when healthy than Marcus Mariota.
Right. And I mean, Mariota has a better year. They definitely extend, Mularkey. If Mariota wasn't down on all of his numbers, basically, that could have ended up.
And I think that had something to do with him being gun shy after that leg broke.
Yeah, hey man, you've been playing football your whole life. It ain't time to do that now. You made the choice. Stick with it. Live with it. Bruh. So, there was one thing I was happy about football season ending. It's not much ever that excites me about football season ending. I want to watch as much football as possible. But to know that we get to take a break from 5-minute officiating calls, horrible officiating, making the wrong calls with no need to excuse for it.
And we were both right there with, and this is how messed up officiating has gotten.
Exactly where I'm going.
Like, where we were both, what we believe should be called, but what they would usually call. And then so we went with what they would usually call and go against our nature of wanting them to play. And then they let them play.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm one of the biggest advocates to let these players play. But when they do it, when these officials do it, they don't even do it right. Now, I'll give it to you. I do feel like in the NFL at Super Bowl Sunday, they finally found out what catches were. The Zach Ertz catch, 100% a catch. Like, 100% a touch. He caught it. He controlled it. 3 steps, dove. And even then, he broke the plane. Nothing left to talk about. I said that when we got there, and I stick by it. Everyone else, it doesn't matter now.
And I went by the Des Bryant ruling.
Right.
Because in the Des Bryant ruling...
Less steps, and quicker to letting it go.
To be fair, yes. And when you look at where he got the ball, he was at the 5-yard line. Right. No one trips 5 yards.
Exactly.
And I get that. So I'm not mad about the Zach Ertz one. It's just like when you see the ball pop, you immediately have to go, whoa.
At that point, it was a fumble.
But it was already a touchdown.
Exactly. Even the Corey Clement touchdown. Like that was the one we argued about. And what I said there was to me, it was clear he caught the ball and was securing it from the one-hand catch to his actual carrying hand. And it was secure for like 99.8%. And you can see the shift. And if they had caught it either way, I would have been, okay, I get it.
So here's the thing with that one. Was it a shift or was it a bobble? I believe he was securing the ball after he bobbled it as he was trying to. The thing was, I believe he lost the security of that ball when trying to shift it, hence it being a bobble. And he did secure it, but once he secured it, his second foot was no longer. His second foot went out of bounds.
They changed it up,
not by much, but it did.
If they called it either way, I was okay with it. I'm on the side that was letting them play. They did. I think they did a decent job.
No, they let the boys play.
But that's not even my bruh. I had to steal that line from you. I figured that we were finally getting away from all that horrible officiating, not having to deal with it that much. And then I watched the OKC Golden State game last night, and you are now telling me this is coming to basketball. Bruh, this may have been one of the most... Yeah, but to the height it was yesterday. I'm talking Draymond Green got elbowed in the mouth to the point he was bloody. He was bloody. Nothing. Draymond got a tech for that. Russell Westbrook, man among boys last night, driving to the hole, trips on himself.
Gets the foul.
They call a foul. You can see it clear as day. And I was upset because what it looked like was something we've been waiting for 2 years, and that was going to be the Hiroshima of Russell Westbrook and KD meeting at the rim. Like, KD was turning ready to go play some defense. I was excited, and he falls over, and then he gets a foul. He even looked back and asked for the foul, which, I don't fault you, you're a player. But, bruh, at this point, some of these calls, that Julius Randle was holding the ball in the end of the game. Oh, I'm sorry, this was 2 days ago.
Julius Randle's on the Lakers.
Julius Randle was holding the ball at the end of the game, and the Thunder were fouling him on purpose. I'm talking at the half line, moving his elbow, shedding the guys off him, and they're just slapping at him. 7 seconds goes by. They blow the whistle as the light goes off, and then they have to review it and decide the foul is after. The officiating in the NBA is getting horrible. Do they even still do the 2-minute report? Because at this point, it's about 6 or 7 minutes.
Well, the 2-minute report's the most useless thing.
It's horrible. I hate it, but you get where I'm coming from.
This has been in the NBA all season, and that's why players are getting more frustrated with the officials. That's why they're having an the officials are meeting with every team during the All-Star break. And it's going to accomplish nothing.
Yeah.
Well, and here we are, but people also don't realize that this is a league with more superstars than there's ever been.
Right.
And so everyone believes they get the superstar calls. I remember watching a game where they had the audio up, and Michael Jordan clearly did not get fouled. This was when he was on the Wizards. And he went over to the official. There was no call on the court. And he's like, I got fouled. And he's like, I didn't see anything. Michael's like, well, you better call it because I got fouled. And he, I called that for you, Michael. Threw up the numbers. That actually happened. But that was in a time where those guys grew up with each other. We have young referees that aren't being respected by veterans, and veterans telling young players to not respect young referees. It's creating chaos in the NBA. I don't mind. It honestly is pretty entertaining, but when it becomes vindictive, that's where it gets like you don't get to choose. I don't call fouls on Draymond because I don't like how he talks about us. And I'll call fouls on Russell because he scares me.
Mm-hmm. And you can see it. You can see it's different now too because the Warriors are one of the most technical foul teams in the league this year. Draymond's already at 13. You get 16 before you're suspended for a game, and then I think it's only 2 games again before you get suspended. And that's going into the playoffs. You may very well be looking at yourself being suspended for another game 5 and causing your team, the playoffs, the finals, the conference championships, the way the Rockets are playing, who knows?
The Thunder right now.
Yeah, I mean, they put it on them. They put it on them last night. But I do like how quick they can they'll look at replays and get it done. That's not on them. That's not their downside. Their downside is just not getting the right calls. So I don't know what needs to be done. Need to look at it. But Adam Silver, get your boys together.
And with the NFL going back to them, the NFL needs to get it together too. If you're letting New York make the call,
why is the ref even?
Why do I need to watch the ref look at?
We're gonna talk a little NBA as we wrap up the show here at the next couple minutes. Well, more than a couple, but you'll feel it. You'll know what I mean. The NBA on full blast last night. We had some of the best teams in the league playing last night. We had the Raptors play the Celtics. They put a show on them. It's funny how a lot of these top talent teams didn't really fare well last night. The Raptors. That's what it's called when you take the Raptors first. No, just me? Only me? No, anybody? No? Okay. The Raptors versus Celtics. Raptors put it on these boys, 111-91. First game back with Kyrie in about 4 or 5 games. That's not the one we're going to focus on. As we were just talking about, OKC played the Warriors. They beat the Warriors also with 20 points, 125-105. Westbrook, a man among boys. Put up 21 in the first quarter. He and Paul George combined for 72 points, giving the Warriors their first back-to-back loss all season. And the Pretenders, the Cavaliers, they played the Magic yesterday. We're up 21 points. And then Jonathan Simmons was like, you know what? I feel like playing a little basketball. And these boys came back and put it on them. They won 116-98 after being down 21 points. The Cavs were outscored, I think it was 31-9 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
They didn't score. They scored 1 point for 8 minutes.
Shout out to Chris. I think Blake Griffin is returning that Detroit team, and I believe they could beat the Cavaliers right now.
I mean, anyone can beat the Cavaliers right now. They have another game tonight. I forgot who they play, but it's not looking too good for them. So, let me ask you this. Who are you more worried about then? The Cavs or the Warriors?
I'm worried about the Cavs. Yeah, the Cavs don't have the chemistry that the Warriors still have. The Warriors are still a championship team, and they didn't lose any real pieces. They didn't gain any cancers in the locker room. So really what it comes down to is that the Cavs don't have any chemistry, and they kind of need to blow that team up before LeBron holds it hostage and leaves again.
Well, so I mean, I think chemistry is more... Chemistry that goes onto the court, I think it's more behind the scenes than any of us can ever imagine. Like, these guys don't want to play for each other. Like, I don't think half of them like each other. I do think this is 99.8% LeBron's fault, but that's not fair because I could also put it on Dan Gilbert and the way he's treated LeBron. It's the way LeBron is, treating Dan Gilbert, rightfully so, if you know the story between that. But, I mean, a lot of people try to blame it on Isaiah Thomas, and I don't think that's fair. I mean, he's been injured all season, and when he finally gets back, this is the team you bring him to? This is what he has to deal with? This dysfunctional, wannabe, fake family that can't get anything right? Like, it's absolutely the Cavs. At this point, I think LeBron is like, I'm not going to waive my no-trade clause, but we're going to tank as far as we can to get us a good pick.
Yeah. And Chris, how many points does Blake Griffin score tonight if they're going to win by 25? Is he scoring 40?
I mean,
scoring 45?
It's the Nets, so he might score 20.
It is the Nets. Hey, the Cavs want that. The Cavs want that. They're guaranteeing them a pick.
Yeah. I actually think the Cavs are going to try to find their way into
double lottery
to the third seed or
29. I can get jiggy with that. That's a good
29 points, 11 rebounds.
He'll miss a free throw or two.
Yeah. So, but now when it comes to the Warriors, I do think this is the first time we've just seen them hit the wall. They've done a lot in the last 3 years. They don't lose much. They play at a great pace. They were able to slow down when they got KD, and he will bring that viciousness that you need. All the other guys are silent babyface assassins, not to count Draymond Green, of course. But I really do believe that they want this All-Star break. Take a step back, chill out for a little bit, and when they get back to doing work. In worst case scenario, once they hit the playoffs, who's worried about these guys in the playoffs? I highly know they're gonna put it on, and they're gonna play exactly how they've known to play since they won. I just think what I think needs to happen is Steve Kerr needs to let go of free-spirited basketball after the All-Star break for a little bit. Like, let's start putting things in play. Let's start putting things in motion to how we're going to handle certain situations.
Yeah, how about practices in a three-point competition? We call a play once in a while. Like, I get it. You guys, you know the game. You're great at it. You're definitely still the best team in the NBA. Act like it.
These Rockets are scary.
And you're 100% right, Chris. The Celtics will blast Cleveland in the playoffs. I can't wait for Kyrie to put him on blast. Because no one's guarding Kyrie. Isaiah Thomas isn't guarding Kyrie. He showed that last year.
Isaiah Thomas isn't guarding Kyrie.
He's not. J.R.
No one's guarding anybody. What are we even talking about?
Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart if he remains. You still got Jason Tatum. This is a solid defense. And Rozier, who's the only reason Marcus Smart's on the trade block.
Bro. I
remember going way back. And I was like, Rozier? And you were like...
Yeah. No. Because, until this season, he was like, one day he'll be ready. Everyone's known that guy who sits at the bottom of the roster until 6 years down the road.
I'm loving this guy. Chris, do you think Tatum or Ben Simmons, Rookie of the Year? But anyway, continue.
Yeah. Everyone knows that guy you have that sits at the end of the roster. He'll be ready in 5, 6, 7 years. This kid blew up. This kid came out of nowhere, and it came from making trades like Avery Bradley because Brad Stevens saw what this kid was already getting ready to do. I hadn't seen it yet. I had no reason to believe it. He used to get garbage minutes. I mean, it's the improvement that Brandon Ingram's having in the Lakers because he has more minutes and more opportunities, and he's making the most of it. Like, shouts out to him. And it is Simmons all day. I didn't want to answer before you said it.
Yeah, 100%.
Without Simmons, Tatum would be right
Simmons
there.
got a whole year. Simmons got a whole year of
watching,
of working out, of not going to school. Not like you did much of it anyway,
right.
But he got a whole year of working out, being a professional athlete before he had to play any games. So I think he was in practices every day, learning the team, knowing the team, and he's got a full year with Joel Embiid.
I gotta be honest, I'll give you a lot of that only because I was not as high on Ben Simmons when he came out. I do believe if he played last year, he would have a close to Lonzo Ball type year. He'd be better numbers.
Hey, mazel tov to Lonzo Ball having a baby.
Already?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. What? You're 19. What?
Right.
Anyways.
Still Lisa Carr.
Yeah,
That's something. I can't have a kid.
I don't even know what I was talking about. That shook me. I was like, what? Yeah, like watching Ben Simmons in LSU that year, I did not. All I saw, what they saw in him was the length and his passing ability. You know, I didn't see the scoring that his scoring ability now.
He's a good slasher. He's just not a good shooter.
Exactly. That's the next thing that's going to be developed. I would think. I mean, what was his injury? Was it an ACL? Or
it's like a fractured foot or something.
Okay, it was foot related. Because I was going to say, if you were injured for it.
I don't know what happens in Philadelphia, but the feet injuries are just...
They're hype right now. That's what's happening in Philadelphia. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm sorry, not me. That's not how I feel. That's just all I've been hearing all week. Did you see that city tear down?
Did you see them rename Brady Street Full Street?
No.
Yeah, a bunch of fans took over. They're crazy, man. Philadelphia.
I'm surprised they didn't do that before.
I was actually at the liquor store earlier today, and there was a guy behind the teller, and he happened to also be a Giants fan, and he was just like, dude, have you ever been to Philadelphia? And I was like, yes. And he's like, isn't it just trash everywhere? And I was like, you get it. You understand. And he's like, I'm not even from New York. I've been there a few times. You'll never get over the smell of the subway, but that's everywhere in Philadelphia.
No, I have no. I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
You booking any flights to Philadelphia? I wouldn't go vacation there.
Who vacations in Philly? I mean, you may go to like chill.
Hipsters.
I don't know if you call it a vacation. I mean, you may call it like a trip. That's different. Like you can take a trip home. It's not a vacation if you take a trip home for the weekend. A vacation. I mean, you're going somewhere like for a week. There's nothing on your mind. You want to lay back on the beach.
Yeah, if you go on a vacation to Philly and you're there for a week, you've already traveled to another city because you're not staying there for the full week. There are plenty of places you can go. You can head down to the Jersey Shore and see all of that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where Philly trash goes to wash off and then come back.
And okay, I mean, if you
and
want,
their cheesesteaks are greasy, Chris. You know that they're greasy. They're not even that good. They're too greasy. If the bag becomes clear, it is bad. That's my opinion.
This man, you're bashing on like the one thing they claim to be their own, except for like,
the Italian ice is okay.
Oh my gosh.
New York's is better.
Do you want to talk trade deadline? Do you want to? I mean, we can talk Philly. You can tell me all about Philly if you want.
Well, all right, but we are running out of time, so we can get back to this.
We can talk about things.
What's the big trade you need to happen? Big trade you want to see?
Maybe one in the same. Actually, so okay, the trade that needs to happen. No, they're different. Because I do have a different answer for this. The trade I want to see is I want to see DeAndre Jordan to the Bucks. I don't think it's going to happen. They're not even talking about it. They're not thinking about it. I would love to see that happen. I think that'd be great for them. I think that's an extra piece that they can have that can make things happen. But in the same category, I would like to see DeAndre Jordan go to the Washington Wizards. They're talking. They're in trade talks trying to make it happen. They're trying to move Marcin Gortat. His contract's about to become a waste. He's talking about retiring after next season. He's also causing rifts in the team with John Wall, and rightfully so, telling him he needs to watch what they've been doing now that they're 5-1 without John Wall, only losing last night to another top tier team, I think, or Philly actually. So if they can get a guy like that who can catch lobs, who can be a force down low, be the NBA All-Star that he should be, this and that, I think they're right on the cusp of challenging Toronto and Boston and easily stomping on the Cleveland Cavaliers. The one I think needs to happen. is Tyreek Evans going to the Celtics. Now,
I'd agree with that.
the problem is the Celtics are looking for a first-round pick, not looking to give one up. Now, they have the assets to do so, and to bring Tyreek Evans on now in the prime and having one of his best seasons since he's Rookie of the Year, which honestly I hadn't followed much because they were in Memphis. I think that'd be a good piece. I think him and Kyrie could really figure out how to work 1, 2, 3 with Jason Tatum.
And unfortunately, Lou Williams is working on a contract extension.
Well, it's been extended. They reached it today. I want to say it was a 4-year deal. I didn't look at all the details.
But Marcus Smart to the Grizzlies would give them the Tony Allen, a young Tony Allen that they love in Memphis. And Tyreek Evans would give him a veteran presence, although not much of a presence. He's not like he ever did anything in the playoffs. Like, he was on the Kings.
Yeah, he was also on the Pelicans. Tyreek Evans?
Yeah,
He started with the Pelicans.
Yeah, sticking with didn't do much in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, it's the Pelicans at that point in time.
They're still the Pelicans.
No,
you meant the Hornets?
I just meant it was like, the Pelicans at that point in time where they didn't really have much going on.
Yeah, they were waiting on Anthony Davis.
Well, that's played out super, super well for them.
Well, yeah, all those playoff wins.
Insert crickets.
Yeah.
All right. Well, trade deadline's tomorrow. Maybe we'll have some time to jump on there and talk about what we've seen go down. But either way, it's one of my favorite days. I hope it does not disappoint. But we got to wrap it up. We want to thank you all out there for listening to us, watching us.
Special shout-outs to Chris and TC. Thanks for being here with us live.
It was good fun responding to you guys. We're really going to try to work on getting that more often than not. Be sure to jump at us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, everything at 4thand20 Sports. We got a ride. Thanks for being here with us on WBLZ Sports. I've been AJ.
I'm Max.
Peace. Shout out, Dylan. You're dope. Thanks for all the hard work you do, buddy.